First of all, my name is Tom Morales. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Morales Group. I want to welcome you to the Morales Group corporate headquarters. But more importantly, I want to welcome you to this room. It's called the Manuel Morales Legacy Room. And it's named after my dad, who challenged me to start this company over 15 years ago. Now, I never saw it start, but the challenge was, how are you going to give back to your roots, the Hispanic outreach? And he challenged me because he wanted me to look at it from not just providing funds, but to bridge that gap between corporate America and the associates that want to work. Now, since that time, we've had a lot of new people join our family, internally and externally. We are now represented by 38 nations from around the world. If you look behind you, thank you. And that number is growing. Hopefully, after you have a chance of listening to our speakers today, that you can take a quick tour. Many of the flags are representing the countries throughout. So, many of you might say that our corporate structure or culture is, we value diversity. Well, of course we do. We value the development of each of our personnel, our family members. And I'm going to talk about a third one we value, and that's mentorship. But before I go there, I want to digress just a little bit. The company was started in 2003. A year after we started, there was a group of, I think it started by the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce, and a subgroup that was called the Indianapolis Hispanic Business Council. And they decided that they wanted to provide a way for those fledgling startup companies like ourselves to have somebody walk alongside of them. They called it the Mentor Protege Program. It was a 3-year program. We were lucky enough to be one of the first ones. And we were fledgling, we were new, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. And yet we had a partner, one that was a pillar in this community, FedEx. Talk about big boys. So what were they going to provide us that knew nothing? Well, in reality, they provided so much: resources, protocol, policy, financial analytics, everything. Now, we needed some of that, but we didn't have enough to even create some of that. But what I really did notice was they walked alongside of us every step of the way. They walked in front of us by providing opportunities, by giving us networking, connections, things like that. And you know what? They loved to party with us when we had our successes and when we had our failures. That is what mentorship is all about. And so, since that time, you know, I've got to say, first of all, the success we've had was based on part of that. There are over 20,000 staffing companies in the U.S. 20,000. The Adecos, the Kellys, the billion-dollar corporations. And then there was us starting back in 2003. Well, I'm proud to say that of those 20,000, we're up to 143rd. So, does mentorship work? Yes. And since that time, we decided we were going to develop our own mentorship program internally with our staff. The success has been enormous. People love to be heard and cared for. We also knew that we had outreach programs. People that wanted to be part of who we were. We mentored with them. The new immigrants, we mentored with them. How satisfying, guys. So here we are today. And that's why I'm really proud of what's happening today. The fact is that I'm here to welcome Mayor Hogshead, Commissioner Lubbers, all the Indy partners, Indy Achieve partners, to the Morales Group to announce some very specific things that we're going to do and how we as a company can really, and I have it here, I said, how we as a company can effectively support the next generation of talent in Indianapolis. That's why we're here today. So take hold of it. How do we support that? I'm glad that we stepped up. I don't know how effective we'll be, but damn, we're going to try. All right? I don't know how effective, but we're going to try. Thank you all for being here. And now, I'd love to get to our guests, and if we could probably make a round of applause for our mayor, Hodgson.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it very much. Well, good morning. And Happy New Year. How does one follow Tom Morales? Talk about energy. And the truth is, in so many ways, Tom has already revealed to you, in general, I'll try to be a little bit more specific, but in general, Tom has already identified the core principles about why we gather today. The importance of mentorship, the importance of collaboration and partnership, the importance of having people walk alongside you to support the initiation of a new company, of a new project, of a new field of study, of a new engagement in higher education, both individually and as businesses. And particularly, the commitment that the Morales Group has always had to immigrant communities in our city. Because the truth is, they have been disproportionately underserved. So Tom, thank you for having us today. You are a leading light and a great example of the art of the possible when we come together as one city for the benefit of all. So, I'm pleased to report here in January of 2019 that the city of Indianapolis added or retained 13,000 jobs last year. And those 13,000 jobs had an average wage of $31 an hour. Now, I don't need to tell anybody here, those are jobs that will help us rebuild the middle class. But at the same time, we are confronted with the reality that by 2020, at least the estimates I've been given, suggest that by 2020, which is now less than a year away, 62% of all jobs in our city will require some form of post-secondary education. And it is also true that right now, only 42% of Marion County adults have that level of training. That's what you call a skills gap. That's why last year, in partnership with Employ Indy, we launched Indy Achieves, a program that seeks to close the skills gap and to help ensure that Marion County students in all four corners of this great city, from every neighborhood, from all walks of life, that they have the tools necessary to attain a high-quality post-secondary degree or credential. And thanks to our partners on the City County Council, the city has allocated $2 million to this program in 2019, funds that will provide grants and scholarships to those students in need at Ivy Tech, here in Indianapolis, and at IUPUI starting this coming fall, the fall of 2019. But even that is not enough to guarantee success. It's great. It's a good first start. That extra money that might make the difference between being able to pay for full tuition and not, coming up short, delaying or postponing. Even that type of commitment, though, is not enough to guarantee success. 1 out of every 5 students who are accepted into a post-secondary institution never show up on the first day. 1 out of 5. Now, as a parent, I know that the deadlines and the forms and the benchmarks, dare I even say the FAFSA, required of today's students and their families and loved ones, their significant others. I know that those forms and deadlines can be daunting, and I'm mindful that these tasks can be especially intimidating to those individuals who do not have the necessary support, the support that walks alongside them, the support that mentors them and guides them through the process. So that's why today I'm very pleased to announce that we are launching the Indy Achieves Mentor Program, which is another tool in our toolbox that will help to ensure that so many of our city's students that are so critically important to our city's future don't fall behind. With the commitment of Indianapolis residents who step forward, who volunteer, like those here in the Morales group, we will be able to provide that voice of experience. That voice that has been down that path. That voice that has made the mistakes and is committed to helping others avoid making those mistakes again. And with timely reminders, with helpful encouragement, these mentors will make it easier for students to qualify and engage every dollar of assistance, as well as helping them stay on track once classes begin. It's simply not enough to say, we have the space, we have the money, we have the opportunity. If for whatever reason that is currently outside our control, we cannot help keep them on track with the surrounding support necessary to overcome those obstacles that so often become too difficult to negotiate. So I want to personally thank the Morales Group for its pledge today to provide employee mentors, and I also commend them for the example that they live every day and set for the rest of our city. This January, we just coincidentally happen to be celebrating National Mentoring Month. We're in the 9th day of National Mentoring Month, and I'm proud to now include Indy Achieves among many of the great mentoring programs in our city, several of which are scattered in the audience today, and I'd recognize you all, but I always am afraid I'd leave someone out. But I am glad you are here, because you and your efforts are critical to the long-term success and the future of our city. I do believe, deep in my heart, that together, with the help of all of you, we will ensure a brighter future for every Indianapolis resident. Because if they're willing to work, they deserve it. And now it gives me a great pleasure to introduce a partner in our work and a champion in every sense of that word for mentorship, Commissioner for the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, my dear friend, Teresa Lubbers.
Well, Mayor, if following Tom Morales is difficult in terms of enthusiasm, following you is equally so. We know that, but thank you so much and for your introduction, but much more importantly for your vision and your commitment to the students of Marion County to actually develop Indy Achieves. Your vision for building a stronger city through the development of human capital is exactly the right and needed one. We cannot improve our per capita income, our health index, unless we improve the education attainment of the people who live here. As you've mentioned, we know that more than ever, the jobs of the future and the jobs of today require some sort of education and training beyond high school. Hear me when I say this. We are not advocating a four-year degree for every student, but we are saying that nearly every new job that has been created since the Great Recession requires some sort of quality education or credential beyond high school. And that Indy Achieves is the right program at the right time. So I'm honored to be here with you today and to share a few thoughts, but I want to begin by acknowledging Tom and Morales Group's work in this regard as well. I think it's important that people step up and be early enthusiastic supporters of efforts like this to set a tone for other companies. So we hope that you will establish your program in a way that is a challenge to other companies and other organizations around the state. And also many of you in the audience who spend every day working in this space for mentoring and to make sure that more students are successful. So thank you. And let's take just a moment to look at what Indy Achieves is attempting to do and why the partnerships are so important. At a time when we're telling Hoosiers, Marion County residents, students, that education beyond high school is more important than ever, that more of the jobs require it, we need to make sure that they can both afford higher education and that they're prepared to succeed. Indy Achieves really addresses both of these components. The access through making sure that the financial aid is available to them, but also the ability to actually make sure that students are prepared for that. Indy Achieve highlights in its mission statement increasing the number of Marion County residents with a high-quality degree or credential to 65 by 2027. That is a heavy lift, but it is the right one because that is where the jobs will be. It actually aligns very clearly with the goals of the state of Indiana, which is that by 2025, we would have 60% of Hoosiers who have a high-quality degree or credential. We also know that that goal must be matched by a goal to close the achievement gap. There is no way to get to that number, whether it's 60 or 65%, without doing a better job with students who are first-generation, low-income, and underrepresented populations. We believe that so much at the Commission for Higher Education that we actually established a goal to cut the achievement gap in half by 2018, which we have done, and to close it by 2025, which we're on target to do at some of our institutions, but not all of them. What I can tell you is, and that's what I'd like to talk about next is the 21st Century Scholars Program that Indy Achieve really builds on. And for our scholars, we are on track to close that. And that's why this program is so important. I think most people in the audience know about the 21st Century Scholars Program. It is nearly a 3-decade-old program. It is one of the first and most promising and potentially life-changing programs in the country when it comes to promise programs. We tell Hoosier students when they're in 7th and 8th grade that if you work hard, you sign up, you're low income, you work hard, and you meet certain requirements, we will make sure you can afford to go to college. You will not be limited in your opportunities because of your financial background. That is critically important. And by every measure, scholars are succeeding. They are going to college at the highest level of any portion. 82% of scholars are accessing college compared to about 64 to 65% of the population at large. That number is replicated in Marion County at about 82% of the scholars as well. That is a huge difference in terms of the aspirations of those students. It's important to realize that when the Scholars Program was developed, it was not developed as only a scholarship program. It was designed to inspire, prepare, and financially make it possible for people to access higher education. And that means that you have to do more than simply say there will be the dollars there, although that's not simple in and of itself. But you have to make sure that when people have a dream to go to college or to get a credential, that they're prepared to succeed when they get there. Even with the scholars money, which is why Indy Achieves is so important, people are still borrowing other money as well. And Indy Achieve helps fill in those gaps, and that's critically important. Throughout the years, we've actually learned much about how to make these scholars more successful and how to make Indy Achieve scholars more successful as well. And we've put in place expectations so that students are better prepared when they access higher education. The Scholar Success Program that's run through the Commission is a requirement for every high school student to complete certain requirements that we know are directly aligned to whether they'll be successful when they get there. Indy Achieves actually really champions the most important components of the Scholar Success Program as well as looking at other efforts to make sure that scholars are more successful. For example, championing the idea that when you start into higher education, you should immediately start with credit-bearing courses and not waste time or money in non-credit-bearing courses. That's very, very important. And as represented in the audience today, all of the partners in these areas are really working to make sure that we're providing the navigational supports and the mentors that students need. This is why mentors are so important. It's already been mentioned by Tom and by the mayor. I'm a first-generation college-going student. And you know, the difference between coming from a family, even families that believe in education, but don't know how to navigate that system, and those who have parents who did, it's a huge difference. And we need to make sure that these processes are simple enough, that they're not so cumbersome that people give up along the way. And we're increasingly designing our programs. We're working with our colleagues at the federal level to try to make FAFSA a little simpler. It's certainly nothing simple about it right now, but all of the ways in which you might be discouraged by simply the process, we're working to streamline those every single day at the Commission. Indy Achieve actually also reaches out to those who have graduated from high school and who need to obtain some sort of a post-secondary credential. It's critically important in a dynamic economy like we face today, and as employers, to make sure that we are committed to our workforce, that we help them transition through those changes in the requirements. People can do all the right things in terms of being prepared for a job, and the job changes. And we need to make a commitment to make sure we work with those people throughout that. I hope, and I think most of you are familiar with the Workforce Ready grant that we run through the Commission, which says to people, if you don't have a quality credential, you can come back, and for tuition free, you can get one of about 150 certificates that are aligned to needs in the economy, and that we know will increase your ability to take care of yourself and your family. But once again, it's not just about the free certificate. It is about the navigational supports and the mentoring that goes alongside it. In that case, it's often the employers who are providing the mentoring as well. So far, we've had about 11,500 students who have enrolled in a certificate program in Indiana, and the largest number of those have come from Marion County. We have another program, You Can Go Back, which says to people, if you have some college and no degree, we started this program a couple years ago, there were about 750,000 Hoosiers who had some college but no degree. had the dream, had the aspiration, didn't quite make it over the line. And we've put in place financial supports, navigational supports, and mentors for them as well. And we've seen about 14,000 Hoosiers who have come back and re-enrolled in college. This is not a one and done. This is a keep your foot on the pedal and just keep pushing with both of these programs. Indy Achieve brings together the best of these programs and these efforts, and it really is done at the community level. So as Indianapolis really works to improve its talent pipeline, these programs are making a difference. And they're really meeting what I like to refer to as threefold. It builds personal prosperity, it meets the needs of employers, and it strengthens both the state and the city's economy. It's the right thing to do at the right time. It's the only thing to really do to make a difference in people's lives. So again, I just want to thank you, Mayor, for your vision, for your commitment. I think what we've started here is going to be a significant difference for Indianapolis, but I think it will be a model for the state of Indiana. So thank you so much.
Good morning. And happy 2019. My name is Matt Impink, and I'm proud to serve as the Executive Director of Indy Achieves. As we begin this new year and celebrate National Mentoring Month in January, I want to reiterate the fact that it is the perfect time to make your New Year's resolution to mentor a talented student here in our city. Now is the time to go to indyachieves.org/mentor to sign up today with Indy Achieves. You do this, you could be part of our founding class of mentors, and I'll urge you to not wait because we're going to be starting to match mentors with students as soon as next month. So we're going to look for the first 100 business and civic leaders in our community to step up and sign up today. I would be remiss if I wouldn't acknowledge the fact that we are joined today by other great mentorship organizations. They're preparing students for college and career as well. We are honored to be among several excellent partners. I'll acknowledge them real quickly if you don't mind. Jay McNaught and his team at Starfish Initiative, appreciate you being here and in support, and happy National Mentoring Month. Darcy Palmer-Schultz and Rick Belbutowski from Big Brothers Big Sisters is here as well. And we've got Aaron Story from Elevate Indy. Want to definitely acknowledge them. If we could have a round of applause for our partner organization. As Commissioner Lubber said, we really are able to do what we do because of the partnerships and the foundation that the Commission for Higher Education and the universities and colleges around the state of Indiana provide. In particular, we are working closely with IUPUI and Ivy Tech of Indianapolis here in Marion County to be our partners. And I really want to particularly acknowledge Boyd Bradshaw and Kathy Johnson from IUPUI for your great leadership and partnership with Indy Achieves. It's been an education for me to learn a lot about the inner workings of IUPUI and all the ways we can work with you to make a better experience for our students here in Indianapolis. I'd also like to acknowledge John Cowles of Ivy Tech Community College, who is here. Ivy Tech has been also a great partner. I've been very fortunate to learn about Ivy Tech and meet a lot of the great partners there who are working very hard every day to get our students the degrees and credentials that they need. I'd like to also really acknowledge the partnership from the business community, in particular the Indy Chamber, and Taylor Hughes from the Chambers here today has been a great partner helping get our message out to the business leadership about ways that business leaders can volunteer as mentors and really support Indy Achieves and our larger goals. All of my colleagues at Employ Indy, including our great CEO and leader, Angie Carr-Klitsch, who's here, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be a part of the organization. The partnership that we have with the City County Council is also really important, and Councilor Janice McHenry is here. I really want to appreciate the commitment that you and your colleagues have made to funding and supporting Indy Achieves, so thank you very much. I'd like to take a moment to echo Mayor Hogsett's call for our community to step up and mentor talented young people to get the education that they need and the education our city needs them to have. I encourage our business and civic partners to learn about mentorship with Indy Achieves or one of the other great mentorship programs here at the tables around the room. Thank you again to Mayor Hogsett and Commissioner Lubbers for your words and leadership today. Thank you again to our host, the Morales Group, for your hospitality and your partnership on mentorship for the future talent of Indianapolis. Yours is a great example of how we can step up for students in our city. I thank you all for coming to join us today, and we'd be happy to break to answer any questions, and I encourage you to visit the tables around the room. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer them up here, or we can come back.
Let me just add one thing, because my time is already. Because I was reminded in acknowledging IUPUI's commitment, and Dr. Bradshaw in particular, he will tell you that I am already mentoring a student at IUPUI. His name is Will Hogsett. He's my son. But I would be remiss if, as mayor, and particularly since this is a program that is so important critically to the future of our city, if Matt, you would allow me to be one of the very first volunteer mentors of another student who is in need of whatever assistance my son has provided me to relearn in helping mentor. And if the mayor has the time, then I want to encourage every individual, adult or otherwise, in our city to truly engage this in a meaningful way. You will make a profound difference in the life of one individual. And if enough people make the difference in a life of one individual, then our community will be much, much better off. So thank you, Matt, for your leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. All right. If there are any questions from members of the media, we'd be happy to step back and take those now. Thank you very much. Have a good day.